All right, so the homework was to implement or re-implement quiz 1, right? So we already did a bunch here. So we had index PHP, htaccess, right? Those we did, I think, right? We've got the basic structure. No, hold on, that's the wrong project. Let's reopen Slim Options. Yep. That's the one. That's the one. Let's see. So we don't actually have any routes yet. All right. So I need to go to and do create a database. Then let's start with this. Okay. So I'm creating the auctions table. Seller's email. Last bid price. Last bidder name. So see, this is starting to look like a real system, right? With a lot of details in a table. And now we have ID is an int, item description. We said varchar 1000. Image path. This probably should be a little bit longer, but depends on the operating system. But 200 sounds good, actually. So yeah, they're all not null, actually. Yeah. So varchar 200. I think, as I said in a previous iteration of it, there was a null allowed, but that just complicates things. So it's easier if the image is required. Seller's name and email. So we had 100 and 320. And then, all right. So why is this decimal? You see, generally for money, we do not use floating points because there are, as I said, approximations when you're using floating points. Let's say if you say 0.1, it's not really 0.1. It's not. It's actually a little bit more, a little bit less, but not quite. So we want to have another format where there is no approximations. For money, we need that. For exact physics or math, we're okay with the approximations. For money, we're not. So that's where types such as decimal come in. Let's try and do that one. So we'll say decimal, and then we say the total number of digits is 10, and 2 of them will be the decimal places, right? So we'll say, actually, we can just say 10, no, comma 2. That should do it, hopefully. Last bidder name, email, yeah. Let's just do that varchar, and I think this is, no, this is okay. Last bidder name is 20. It's just, this is a little inconsistent here. Here we had 100, here we have 50. Yeah, we should make them both the same length. And this one will, so that will be 100. That would be 320, but the initial state is that there is no bidder yet. The item is created, but there's no bidder name, there's no bidder email. So what we want to do, we want to allow null on those. Where is the column? So we've got null is here, yeah. There we go, that should do it. So that's null. All right, other indices. So let's see, item description path. Item image paths generally need to be unique, right? Like we have it here because we don't want to be pointing to two. We don't want to have two records pointing to the same file. That's usually a bad idea, right? And then let's just see what else here. Yeah, there's nothing else to make unique. Item description, no. So the ID needs to be auto increment primary key, and it should be okay. Okay, any questions on this? I know you guys did that already, but just in case you had any question. No, all right, not hearing any. So let's see if that works out. Save. Okay, not bad. So now, let's see. So let's start with just one piece of functionality. So we need to do, let's go pull it up here. So what we need to do is to create a new auction. Yeah, I think that's a fair place to start. Yeah, new auction, list items, but new auction, right? So add it to the database. All right, let's do that. We're going to do version without the image upload first, just because. And I should probably open the code from the previous project, just so I have it handy. There's going to be some copy paste possible. Just getting here. So let's do Slim first would be helpful. Yeah, and index PHP. I will. Yeah, I could do that, I suppose. Yeah, I'll just need to be mindful to make sure I'm editing the one I should be, right? But should be okay. All right, so we said, let's just look at this. So we said here we have a new auction. There's no parameters. Hold on, did I miss one URL? It seems like, what about viewing a specific item? It seems like I'm missing this one. Hold on. Place bid, there we go. Right? I missed one. Nobody told me. List item is a bit too low. Yeah, place bid. So place bid, and I would say, and the index, what did I say about index in the original? You don't really need an index exactly. And list item, there is no index. So I think the list items could be the index, right? You're coming in and you're seeing the auctions page, and you are seeing the list of items that you can bid on. I think that sounds like a good idea. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So let's modify this a little bit here. So we would have, yeah, list of items. On the index, place bid is bit too low. Is all right. So now place bid will require a parameter here, which will be the ID of the auction we're going to be, well, interested in. Yeah, that sounds right. Okay, that's better. All right, so let's do the new auction and maybe the list. That'd be nice. So let's borrow. So new auction is a form, right? That's we'll be showing and submitting a form. So let's just borrow some code here. We had the add person. That sounds about right. Yeah, pretty much. So might as well borrow this code. As the starting point. There we go. All right, so we had a new auction and new auction. So the first show is get, right, and then I'll render new auction. And in here, well, we'll take care of that in a moment. So now in the templates, I should create a new template, new auction.html.twig. Right, that should do it. And then in it, oh yeah, I should have a master template. I definitely should have a master template. So let's do that. Yeah, you guys always have to have a master template, at least one.
You named it new auctions.
New auctions, yes, thank you. You're right. Twig. All right. And, yeah, let's just borrow that. Okay, so I guess, guys, I'd like you to make this modification as well. From now on, we have to refer to things using absolute URLs. So not styles, CSS, but the other slash styles. And the reason for that is that it will make a difference over here. You see the place bid, because when I access a URL like this, which has slashes in it, right? A web browser will think that I am in well, let's say this, right? So what it will do, it will try to look for this. See what I'm saying? If the URL is relative over here, like this, then the web browser will look for this styles, which doesn't exist. Because web browsers don't understand that these URLs have nothing to do with the actual structure of files and directories, right? The web browser thinks, well, there's a directory place bid. There isn't, but the web browser thinks there is. So what you got to do is, that's okay. You just have to make sure that you refer to things using absolute URLs. When they have to start with /. You don't have to put a domain name, please don't. That's a bad idea. But yeah, you put a / here, because otherwise, in this, when you're viewing this page, the CSS won't work because, well, that CSS doesn't exist. Okay. So that actually the same thing applies to our, what was it, the first, which one was it? Actually, yeah, I should fix this this one as well, I suppose. Right, same thing here for the slim first. Right, / style CSS, and that's gonna, as I said, that's gonna be the case with all the references to pretty much all the URLs we'll have. All right, let's go back here. So we're doing master. Let's see what else we've got here. So we've got, well, let's call it auctions. Copyright. Oh yeah, we could also fix the footer, by the way. So the way to fix the footer, the easiest way is to put the footer inside of the centered content after the block content. Because you guys remember it was showing kind of weird at the bottom left, which was kind of just out of place, right? So we might as well fix it. And
I just created a div that wrapped both the content, both content
sure,
divs.
sure, you can do that. Or as I said, you can just put it here. It does the same thing, right? Yeah, I know you created another box, but you had to move it, right? You have to move it into the centered content.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so new auction. So now this one needs to inherit from an existing template, right? So we did that. Let's just do. So I'm just going to borrow this one. All right, so that's a form which will be fairly similar to this one. All right, so extends master HTML twig. Right, please don't put any slashes here. Twig will know where to look for it. It will look in templates for it, right? We should, by the way, change the block title. We didn't do this one last time, but that was an omission. Right? We should actually give it a title. So title here would be new auction. Right, that'll be the title, or at least that chunk of it, right? Right, and we should set a title for every page that we are rendering. Okay. Block content, error list. Yeah, we'll like that. This is good, right? And then the form. So to create a new, let's just see, we've got quite a few things in there. So let's see, we had, let's go back up here, new auction, 3 stage form. So it says item description, text area. Right, so we need the item description. Let's do that. So description. Did they say rich text? Rich text, yes. So we should use TinyMC eventually. Text area. Description and the value. So on the failed submission, right, there's no value, but you would put the contents in here. So you do v description. So that's what the item description rather. Yeah, let's be consistent here. So when you're creating templates and you know that those inputs from the templates are going to go into the database, generally it's a good idea to use exactly the same names as you have in the columns. So this won't be a description, this would be actually item description. Okay, just to be consistent. So your what? So your twig variable, your PHP variable, and your column in the database are exactly the same name, have exactly the same name. That is usually a good idea. All right, so that's text area. Right, I think we need a BR there. And then we said, yeah, we'll get to that, right? There's some handling we need to do. Image path, file upload. I'm gonna put a to do here, yeah. Which means if I can't do it yet, I have to make it nullable for now. Whoops. Yeah, I will have to adjust my database because I don't want to do it just yet. Yeah, it's too early. I want to get the rest working first. So you know what? I'll make it nullable temporarily at least. Yeah, that's okay. And then we had seller's name, seller email, initial bid price. Yeah, let's look at those. So name, email. So name is there. Now this one is, we actually have a type email. But this one is what? This is, let's keep it consistent. So we have seller's name. There we go. Not just name. Right. Seller's email. What else? Initial bid price. Right, which will become the last bid price. Right, so name, email. Then we'll have so this one was, oh yeah, there was a way to allow for, well, I'm gonna go with text for now, but there was a way to make it numerical and say that there's 2 decimal points after the dot. Yeah, we'll find out later. Then we have last bid price. Yeah, that was the one. And this would be create auction. And I think that should do it, right? Any questions on this so far? Okay. Name of the image will be generated based on the original name. Yeah, that's okay. We'll get to that when we get to that. So let's see. Yeah, I need that. So now, actually, let's just test it. Let's see if this actually works. So I already created the URL yesterday, right? I had that. So let's do day04 swim auctions with local, and I probably have to put HTTP in front. Let's see what we get. So, oh yeah, port. Right. There we go. Beautiful. Works, right? Okay, so then we do a new auction. Okay, not terrible. I mean, this could really use some nice CSS, but I mean, it's a start, right? The copyright information is centered as well, part of the main page. Yeah, looks okay. Ish. I think I would add a header on top. This looks just weird without some heading. Let's just do it one. Like this. Yeah, better. Okay, so now let's see. So if I here, all right. Right, so name is initial price, let's say 12.12. Create auction. This won't work, of course, because yeah, we haven't actually handled the submission yet. All right, so let's see that. So what's happening here is we have, what does it say? Unable to find template add person. So that tells me that there were errors, you know, and that should have been new auction. And I need new auction success as well. Oh, let's just create it. So new HTML twig. And I might just borrow this one again. Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh, that's not what I want. Okay, that should do it. So we said auction. Add it successfully, and then we should let the user, give the user a way to come back to the main, well, to something, right? So we'll do kind of 1990s again, but it will be better than nothing. In the Ahref. We could actually, you know what, we could actually view the auction, specifically the one that was just created. Yeah, we'll see. Click continue will do for now. I suppose, yeah. Yeah, we can do better later. All right, so that's the receiving. Okay, so now we have to do verification. So we have to extract a lot of info. We got quite a few things there. All right, so we got the new auction had item description. Right, so the item, yeah, let's just do that. So item description, right? Then we had no image yet. Seller's name and seller's email. So how many more I have? I got 2 more. All right, so then we had seller's email, exactly. And finally, last bid price, which is actually the initial bid price. But in the database, it is last bid price. So I would think about it. Do I really want to still call it last bid price in here in my PHP code? Maybe yes, maybe not. Maybe I want to call it the initial bid price, or the initial price, or minimum price, or starting bid, right? Something like this. Yeah, that would work as well. So then let's just do the verification. So we had the item description has to be, there's some lengths. So we said the item description 2 to 1,000 characters. Right, and we need to do eventually some rich text editing. Well, we'll get there. So we'll say item description must be 2 to 1,000 characters long. Oh yeah. And guys, if there is a problem with it, I won't clear it. I'll keep it. So let's say if somebody creates a description that's too long, I'll keep it. If it's too short, it doesn't matter anyway. Yeah. Then we have the seller's name. What about it? What do we check here? 2 to 100 characters only. Okay, so we need the regular expression here. Okay, good. Nice. Yeah, so we need a p reg, yeah. So we had if preg match, right? And then we had the pattern was first. So we said from the beginning to the end. And then we had seller's name. If this was not, what was it? Not true. I think that's what it was. Let's just check preg match. There's only one answer that was okay for us, which I think was true. Return values. Okay, no, actually it's 1. It's not true, it's 1. So if preg match returns 1 and 1 exactly, okay. So if it's not a 1, then we have a problem. Yeah, all right, good. And the pattern was, we said, what was it? Uppercase, lowercase, okay, we can live with that. So we've got A to Z, lowercase, uppercase, digits. Somebody has digits in their name. Numbers are allowed, yes. Space, okay. Dash is always at the end. Okay, dot has to be escaped with a backslash, and comma. Yeah, no problem with the comma. Comma is just a comma. And that's it. All right. And then we said there needs to be 2 to 50, was it? 2 to 100. Yeah. All right. So if there is a problem, we'll the user. So sellers 2 to 100 characters long. Up of letters, digits, space, comma, dot, dash. That's it. Right, that should do it. Should I clear it? Maybe, maybe not. Let's not clear it this time. We'll just keep it. It's okay. Then we have email. Okay, well, it needs to look like a valid email. So we'll do sellers email, filter validate email. And that's all we need. Yeah, I should have kept it. Hold on, because we're gonna need that chunk in a moment again. Yeah, so that would be for email, and we'll say seller's email must look like an email or something like that. And then last one, initial bid price. Yeah, let's do this one. So we had, I'm not a fan of the name of this variable. I mean, yeah, I'll keep it in name of consistency, but I don't like it. Just for the record. All right, so it has to, actually, hold on. In this case, because we're not validating here, that is an integer. We actually just need, you know what we just need is numerical. Yeah, I think that will do fine. Right. Yeah, so if it is, so if it's not numeric or numerical, right, or it's less than 0, or it's, hold on. Actually, that's it. It just has to be a non-negative value. Yeah.
There's no upper limit.
Well, apparently not. I mean,
It won't fit in the database if it's too big.
I know, but I mean, 10 digits minus 2, so that's 8. So anything until what, $999 million, you're okay. So yeah, well, we should, yeah, you're right. We should have an upper limit. Yeah, is greater than. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go. Right, because we have 10 digits, 2 of them after the dot, right? So the maximum value that you can still accept and put into the database is this, right? So 9. Oh, sorry, that was 99 millions. My bad. So you can't really put the really expensive things. So just the cheap ones. All right. I think I got to remove this one as well. And hold on, that should work. There we go. All right, and yeah, that's okay. And then I'll say that the initial, call it initial bid, I think it was. Initial bid price, yeah. Initial price must be a number in 0 and actually, yeah, that's about it. Okay, so seems like we have the verification done. We'll see how that works out. It's a nice syntax highlighting. I like it. I hope it's going to be okay. Let's see. So now if there were any issues, then we have to put the values back into the twig. So that's going to be quite a bit of work because we got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Yeah. Let's see. I thought there was a way to get all the parameters because we've got all of those, right? I'm quite sure there is a way to get them as an array. I just don't see which method it was, unfortunately, but there was a way to do that. Anyway, that's okay. We'll do it manually. So we'll do item description is just a little copy paste. Nothing harmful. Seller's name, right? And we'll do it one more time. Email and last bid price. Last bid price. All right, that should do it. So we'll pass them as the value list, right? And the arrows as the arrow list to new auctions. Yep, we're good. And here's the interesting thing, this value list, I'm actually pull it up here. Why? Because I'm going to need it in two cases. One, if the submission is wrong, then I will have to pass it right to the template, which is fine. But if I'm doing an insert, I actually need exactly the same thing, funny enough. Right. Now, I didn't handle the image yet, so when I add image handling, that's going to be a little bit more complicated, but that will do for now. And then we had auctions, I think was the name. Yeah, auctions. Yeah. It just happens to be pretty much the same thing that I need in both cases, so I'll just do it once. And I think I should be okay here. Yeah, I think that should be fine. So let's see. Yeah, let's run that. Let's see what happens. So I already did fill up the form. Let's just do refresh and I'll redo the submission and we'll say, seller's name must be. So hold on. So some things did work. Look, I got my values back, right? The submission failed, but I got my values back.
You didn't allow number in the.
Yeah, I did exactly. I did not allow numbers. You're right. And also, I'm missing a style because I got my error message, and in my templates I should use it. Yeah. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. Better. I mean, terrible, but better. Yeah, and you're right. We need to allow digits here. Yeah, so 0 through 9. Okay. Okay, so auction added, space missing. Created successfully. All right, click to continue. Yeah. Okay, good. That's nice. Let's see if it actually ended up in the database. Seems like it did. Here's my auction, right? Number 1. Don't have the cat yet, but we'll get there. All right, good. Let's see what else we need. So yeah, I'm going to add one more and then we'll do the index. So let's go back to new auction and let's do Kitty. Okay, looks good. All right, so let's do the index. So the index was supposed to be what? I think a table, right? Oh yeah, I did say that, yes. So we had an HTML table with some columns there. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll need, so now for the index, what I mean by index is simply Okay, so let's clarify, what does it mean? What's an index? It's URL handler for the slash, that's what it is, right? We're not creating index. Please don't do that. Some people do that. That's wrong. I mean, that means you would require the URL to be slash index, right? That's not what we want. So we just do slash here and we'll render index HTML twig. And well, to do that, we also need to pull out some data from the database, right? So we want pretty much all of them, actually. Yeah, we'll just do the full query. So we'll say, right, now how do we pull it out? Well, we need to use the MicroDB library, right? So here we actually had some examples here of doing DB query, right? Which gives us an array of rows, right? It fetches the entire result in one shot. So let's do, so we've got auction list would be DB query select all from auctions, and any specific ordering I asked for? I don't think we did. Last row list items. No, I don't think so. Okay, so no ordering. I could order them from oldest to newest. I think we didn't finish that train of thought last time. So IDs are growing, right? As I create new items, IDs are always growing. So if I make them show descending, that means that the newest items will show on top, right? Again, I did not actually ask for any specific ordering in the task, but we might as well do it. All right, so that's the auction list, and then I just need to pass it, right? So third parameter will have, let's just see, let's call it list or auction list. Yeah, list is fine. Auction list, yeah. And I think that's pretty much it, right? Let's do the template. So the template would be, I might as well start with, okay, I just realized this one's missing something too. Title. Let's make sure we add title everywhere. When appropriate, yeah. So let's start with kind of that, really. So, right. Now the content. We'll actually need a link there to new auction. Above the table, and then the table itself. So let's do that. So we got table. Yeah, I should do CSS actually. Hang in there. Yeah, let's not do that. Yeah, that's actually a terrible idea. Let's give it a style. Let's just see in the styles. Yeah, let's add this. Let's just give it a default style. I mean default for all the tables, right? If we have any, that should do it. Yeah. So table, let's do row and headings. All right, so I got the ID, that's one. I don't have to show, I think, all the columns, only some of them. Let's see what we need to show. We said item description. Oh yeah, so I'm gonna add the ID value. So item description. So description, right. Description, then we had image. Right, which we don't have yet, but we will. Seller's name. Hold on, something's not right here. And two more. Well, three more really. So get seller's name, last bid price. And then, oh yeah, and then make a bid, yeah. Actions. Yeah, that should do it. Okay, good. So now I need a for loop, actually for each loop really, to view all the actions. So I might as well kind of borrow this. I suppose, yeah. Here, generate a row for option list, I think it was. List, yeah, just list, yeah, for a list. So what do we have? We have a ID. Let's format it better this time. So we've got ID, then we got a bunch there. Item description, yeah, let's do that. Then we had item image path, which I don't have yet, but I will. So the photo, that's going to be EMG, and again, I don't have this one yet. Source will be something like this. I might have to adjust it later, but something along those lines. And we gave it a width, right? So we gave it a width 150. Yeah, that should do it. And then we had right seller's name. And seller's email, no, we're not showing that. Last bid price. And auctions. Well, there's only one auction, action, which will be to go and place a bid. So we had place bid on that particular item. So ID, so it's an A ID. Just gonna double check here. Right, place bid with the ID, yeah. So place bid. So I'm using the ID of the record, right, to create the URL, just like we did in the blog, right, where we had the ID equals. Except this one looks nice. And yeah, we need to have something here. So view details. And bid. That should pretty much do it. You're right. Thank you. Think. Yeah, you're right. A item image path. Yeah, definitely. Which this one will end up being null or something like this at the moment, but we'll fix it later. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, I think we're ready to test this. So let's go and. All right, good. So now this is the arrow handler, right? We got the query is visible to me. The arrow is visible to me. This is quite terrible, really, right? I mean, That's the default error handler. And of course, I need the order by there. By descending ID or ID descending. Yeah, I think it's ID descending. Yeah. There we go. All right, my CSS didn't quite work. I can already tell. For some reason. There we go. So you see what did I just do? I press Control and I reloaded the page. This is something that keeps on happening, and there is no great way to solve it. Web browsers cache their CSS and other files as well, but especially CSSs. So very often you can end up wasting a lot of time, right? You probably know that already. Refreshing your pages, like it's not working, right? I just fixed the CSS, still not working, right? So you press Control, and if in doubt, use a different web browser. So make sure that there is no window. Let's say you could use these days Edge, which is the same as Chrome in terms of the engine. The new Edge uses Chrome's engine, so you could actually open it in, let's say, Edge, and hopefully it will reload the fresh CSS. But pressing Control on the keyboard and reloading should work as well. There you go. Still looks 1990s, but it's okay. Oh yeah, hold on. These are not headings. These are TDs. Yeah. TD. This is data, right? Not a header. Not a header. So let's fix that. There we go. Better. Okay. And better is a very relative term here again, right? So we got, right, the newest one first, right? So 2, then 1, another kitty, some kitty. There's no photo yet. That's okay. View details and place the bit. All right, let's try this one. So if I click, it takes me to a special place where I can place some bits, right? Place bit 2. All right, let's look at this one. So I need, so now placing a bid, that means it's another form, right? So I might as well borrow pretty much what I got here. Yeah, would be okay. Let's just borrow this chunk. And we had place bid, and now with an ID, right? With an ID. I just need to check something here and there. Right, and then here when I'm rendering, before I render, so I will have place bid HTML twig, of course, I need to fetch data off this auction, right? So I need to fetch one record, which is fairly similar to what I did in the index, except here I was asking for a number of records. This time I'm asking for just one. So the query is a little bit different. It's going to be query first row, because I'm saying, listen, just give me one. And it's not a list, it's just a single auction. So there is no order by either, right? So I select all from auctions where ID is, what's the ID? Args of ID. Is that okay? Actually, it should be. Did I just create a security problem if I leave it this way? No, I have not. MicroDB will actually do the escaping for anything that I add this way. Now, I could have created a security issue. Guys, if I did, please never do that. If I did something like this, this makes my skin crawl, but technically it's possible. Please just don't ever do that. Okay, if you try to do something like those lines. Missing something here. Double quotes. There you go. Okay, please do not do that. This is kind of like, how would I compare it? You're buying a parachute, right? You want to jump off the plane, but before you jump out, you make 100 holes in the parachute, and then you jump out. Please don't do that. Okay, it's just as bad as an idea, right? Technique is possible because this query will execute, right? But you're going back to Well, this could be dangerous, right? Because the ID, we don't know what it is. We do not know what it is, right? Could be anything. All right, so let's fix it. Let's bring it back. So it was IDS. So IDS percentage, D would be fine as well, I think. Yeah, D is okay too. D or S, everything is a string in PHP anyway, so, or could be turned into a string. So that's good, right? And then, well, there's two possibilities, three really. One is there's going to be an error with the SQL query, which in this case I don't think there will be because the SQL query looks good. Second possibility is we find the record. Third is we don't find it. Right, so it's possible, right? So I have to check if auction, then render, meaning what? We found it. Else, what? Not found. So we have to do something as well, right? We have to do something as well. Ideally, we should show a 404 page. Hold on, Gregor, it's not the page was found, but we didn't find the item. Yeah, I know. We still should show a 404 page. So if I enter a URL that, that leads to something that doesn't exist, actually, I'm getting page not found right now. I'm actually happy with it. That is actually not a bad reaction, Let's see if this actually works now. Yeah, I don't have the placebit twig. I haven't created it yet. Excuse me, not placebit, but rather, actually, yes, I haven't. Yeah, but it should be okay. It should actually show a 404 page. So we'll see if we can fix that up. Right. Second thing is, what if somebody says anything in here? That also doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, see what I mean? It doesn't make sense. So very often what we do is we add a requirement here that this argument, the ID, for example, can only be will match only if it matches specific regular expression. And we actually have that in the documentation of PHP Slim. Let's just see. There we go. Let's see if I can find the routing. Request of review methods headers. Yeah, kind of routing. There we go. Guys, you will have to read through this tutorial to be able to effectively use PHP Slim in your projects. Don't kid yourself. I won't cover everything. You will find some interesting things in there. You should read it. Okay, but one of the things that we want to do is we want to add some. That's not it. Right. So some parameters could be optional. Here's an optional one. We don't do that. But we want to no redirection. Nope. But we want to add regular expression matching. There you go. So we could actually say, for example, here's an ID. Look, they actually read our minds or my mind. Why? Because this is a very common thing. We say, listen, there's an ID that has to be made up of digits. See this? So I can actually say that my ID over here has to be made up of digits. If it isn't, that automatically will generate a 404 response. Now let's see that. So you see, I had this weird clav fluff saf. Enter. There you go. Oh yeah, method not allowed. What? That is strange. Hold on a sec. Something went wrong. Oh yeah. Okay, I know. So what happens now, because I had, I need to do the same thing in both of them. Yeah, they need too much. There we go. Let's try this again. Just a side effect. There you go. Page not found. Right? Why? Because the clav sad doesn't exist. Right? Doesn't make sense. It's not a number. If I do put a number there, I should still show 404. Regardless, right? If I didn't find the item, that's the way web applications usually work. It's just just like when you go to let's say Facebook, right, and you try and reach a page they don't have, they will say it's actually 404 page, right? They don't say 404, but they say something like this, right? page isn't available. Well, that's a 404, really, right? Okay. So now let's take a look at this. Here in this part of documentation, they're explaining actually how to create your own 404 handler, which actually is a good idea. Why? Because what? Because the default 404 handler doesn't use Twig, right? The page looks disconnected from the rest of the application. I mean, think about it this way. If you wrote a nice application and then, like nice, and then something like this shows up, the user will be like, what? What happened? I mean, I understand it's an error, but where's the rest of the site, right? Where's the master template? Where is the, like, it's not the same font. It's like, what happened here? Look at Facebook, right? This is still consistent with their graphical approach, colors and whatnot, right? You're still getting, well, the bar and so on. Okay, like this, right? So you need to override in your projects. You need to override the 404 page to actually make it nicer. And here is a way to do it, right? Right here, they actually explain that you can redefine the not found handler. Here's an anonymous function which will redefine the handler, right? To, well, this one should probably render a template, right? Using the master template saying, sorry, right? We should probably actually do that. You know what? Just thought about it. How about we just do it? Or I just do it. Since we're talking about it, I might as well do it. So here's a container which we use to set up different things. So this one we're going to do, yeah, we're not creating a container. We need a new container, really? That's weird. I think we have to get an existing container. Yeah, we'll see. We'll test it. So we've got container not found handler, function of container. Okay, let's see if that works. Now we're getting into uncharted territories. Okay, it worked. Look at this. I rendered exactly what I said I would render, right? I changed the status is 404. I sent the header. I sent some content. Oh yeah, this worked. Okay, excellent. Let's do it the real way. So in the templates, I'll create 404 HTML twig. Why not? Sounds good to me. And I'll need, it's actually going to be fairly similar to this one. Yeah, let's do the master template, and the title is not page not found. Or something like this. Now let's see if that works. Let's plug it in. So so now here with the response, guys, with HTTP, which we're actually going to talk about next week in details. Nope, wrong page. There are things called status codes, which I believe was mentioned in some of your tutorials, right? So the short rundown is this: anything that starts with 200 means it's 2 thumbs up, everything is okay, right? The usual is 200. Every time when I access a page, let's say this one, right? See, there is one right here. Actually, let's close this. Right, this one says actually 304 means that it was actually pulled from the cache. But look at the other ones: 200, 200, 200. Right, all good. Means that these items were found. Right. So anything 200 is okay. 300 is redirection. That's true. 100 has never happened. Don't worry about it. 400, client messed up. Meaning what? Something that client requested could be found, and then the default is with the client side. 404 means not found. It's not the server problem that it wasn't found, it's the client's problem, right? And then you have 500. Yes, those will happen too. That means that there is a server issue. Okay. Right, so 404, let's go here. So when you're rendering a page for any of the errors, you need to send a specific code to tell the web browser that this page is not just a regular page with 200. 200 is the default, by the way, right? But you have to say, listen, this is not a regular page. This is a page because something wasn't found. So the code associated with the page is 404. It's not about being visible. This value is never displayed to the user, but the web browser needs to know it. Okay. So we'll do, yeah, hang in there. Let's do response. And then, actually, can I do render? Not sure if I can do render. Let's try that. I wonder if I can. This view render. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I think not. I think I have to do it separately. Let's do return. So this view render. Not sure about this, if I can actually access this. Yeah, this may be a problem. So 404 HTML twig. Yeah, I'm not convinced that this will actually work. Well, we'll see. I have my doubts about this part, especially this. Now let's try. There we go. You see, this is, yeah, because I'm not in the context of an object. I know, I agree. I think I may use this may work. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it worked. Okay, that's it. What did I just do? Because I figured we need the view, and I just noticed that they actually had the view right here. You see, the view is created here, and they said that the view is, you see, it's actually in the container. Seemed like the right thing to do. I don't know, it worked. So I'm rendering a template, right? We're sorry this container was not found. Click to continue, right? So I got my custom 404 page. Right. Okay. Hey, that was fun. Let's continue here. So we were on we're using regular expressions and using, oh yeah, 404, right? And sometimes I need to call 404 myself. And let's see, every Slim version had a different way of doing that. Let's see if I can figure out how it works in this one. What if I do this not found? Yeah, okay, hold on. I'm just gonna check Google. All right, so I just fixed the 404. So it looks like we have to actually throw an exception, Slim exception, not found exception with request response as parameters, and that will essentially generate the 404 page, whether the default 404 handler or the one I just added right here, right, and generate the 404 page. Okay, so this is nice, right? So if, there you go. So if I enter something that is numerical, so it matches the regular expression. So I was right here, right? It matches the regular expression, but I didn't actually find the auction. Right, so you see this one, if I find, let's say if I put 1, it's actually okay because I just didn't create the template, but the auction number 1 was found, right? Auction number 2 is found. Auction number 3 is not. There you go. So I get my 404. Okay, forward. Let's see. So we've got placebit, HTML twig. Yeah, let's do that one. So I could actually copy for the most part. I could copy the new auction, and I need, I'm just thinking, do I need success for this one? Maybe, or I could use a flash message instead and just redisplay the form. You know, instead of doing the success, I can just redisplay the form saying at the top, saying your bid has been placed, something like that. Yeah, maybe a flash message. What's a flash message? Yeah, well, that's actually a good question. We should talk about it. We'll see if we can get there. All right, so place bid, fairly similar to new auction, so I'll just borrow that. So place bid. And now what? So we've got some errors. Place bid. Possibly, yeah, it could be errors. And then there is a form with a bunch of things in it. Actually, not that many. I think there's only 2. Right, then we have just 2. Place bid, there we go. So we said, all right, so we have to display some information. We need to display the item description, image, seller name, bid price. Okay, so for that, I need to pass information about the auction, right, to the Twig. So I'll do that. So I'll do again let's do A, that's auction. And place bid. Yeah, I'm okay with that. We're good. Yeah, we're good. So now display the message, the information. I would probably put it up there. So we said display item description. Okay. Div. And let's do auction item description. Something like this should do. Let's go ahead. Item description. Yeah, that's it. Right. Then we said image, I believe. Yeah, same thing. So I can just borrow the one from index. Actually, I can just pretty much just do the same thing. Right. So we'll do that. Yeah, that should do it. Item image path. Yeah, we'll still have to fix it up. BR. Yeah, and then we had what? What else? Seller's name. Okay. So we'll do P seller seller name, I believe. Seller's name. And then we had, what was the last one? Last bid price. Okay. Seller's name, last bid price. Yeah. Yeah, that should do it. Yeah, this page is interesting because we're gonna actually do some Ajax here, which is nice. So we've got the info displayed. Then we have errors if there were any, right, from the previous submission, possibly. We may, as I said, add some flash message. We'll see. I'm thinking about it. And then we'll have the actual form. So the form had what? 3 items, I think, in it. Yeah, there you go. Bidder's name, email. Yeah, let's do that. So we've got bidders. So your name, right? That's the bidder's name. Bidder's name, email. And new bid price. What do we call it? So this one was last bid price. I'm going to call it new bid price. And then, yeah, we'll need some special handling there to do that. So new or bid price. Yeah. And then we'll say place your bid. I think that should do it. And then in here, we're going to need the Ajax, right? Because the bid has to be higher than the last bid was. Right, so we'll do span as before. Right, and we'll do ID bid to bid too low. Yeah. Message. Yeah, that should do it. Okay. Oh, actually, hold on. Who did Ajax? Let's find out. In the upper part here, I'm showing the auction that's already there. But in the bottom part, I have a form which is in relation to the auction, but it's not the same thing, not exactly. So I'm going to keep them for now. I'm going to keep them separate, the values and the auction. Yeah, we'll see how they get combined. Okay, so let's see if I can actually submit my form. Let's try this out. So if I say place bid on item 2, right, here's another kitty. The image is still missing. Some kitty last bid price was whatever it was, right? Maybe I should make it bold. Last bid price, yeah, that would be. There we go. So your name, your email, right? Let's do that. So I got jerry@jerry.com. Actually, sorry, that's not it. This is the email. So Jerry, and then my bid price will be, let's say, 150. Right, place my bid. Okay, so item. So on my verification is of course off. Yeah, we have to take care of this. So now I need to verify the inputs. So I got 3 things to verify. Yeah, bidder's name, bidder's emails, and new bid price. Yeah, let's do that. So I got bidder's name, bidder's email, paste, and we have, it's not last bid price, but in this case it's the new bid price. Yeah, we have to be careful there. We have to do some verification on it. All right, so now verification. Bidder's name, we said between 2 and 100, something like this. What did we say? Place bid, bidder's name. Oh, there was nothing there. No, there is 2 to 100, right? Only uppercase. Yeah, so same thing as we had previously with the seller's name, right? So we've got bidder's name, same requirements. Bidder's name must be 2 to 100 characters long. Yep, we're good. That's fine. And then bidder's email needs to look like an email. And then that's the interesting one. So the new bid price. The new bid price must be higher than the current last bid price value. If not, the bid fails. So to do this one, we actually need to fetch the item from the database again. So we actually have to do this, right? The auction information. Yeah, we'll need that. So let's fetch the auction, and then we'll have to check. Yes, the last bid price needs to be, excuse me, the new bid price rather. That's all true. Yeah, the new bid price need to be numerical, definitely not negative. There's no danger of that really, but yeah, and it cannot be larger than the maximum, right? So if there is a problem, then there's an error. Else, otherwise, right, if the price looks okay, we have to compare it to the price of the existing auction, right? Because the new price needs to be higher. The new bid has to be higher than the last one. So let's check if auction, what do we have? Last bid, what was it? Last bid price. Last bid price, yeah. So if auction last bid price is greater or equal, so we're looking for problems, right? Or in other words, if what? If actually, yeah. So if the price is actually greater or equal to the new bid price, then we have a problem, right? Because the new bid must be higher than the last bid. And that's pretty much it over here for the verification. And then the values list, well, we'll look at that. let's do success first. So actually no, let's do the errors. So on errors, what do? I show the error list, yes, and the values list, which will be right here, right? Includes, yeah, I have to just fix those up. So I got 3 here. I got the bidder name, bidder email, and then the new bid price. Oh, too much. See, there we go. Yeah, that should do it. And then I render it. Now in this case, this won't be helpful for the success, so I'll just move it in here. Yeah, because we'll need a different one there. So that's fine. And then we'll show the errors. Yeah, I think we're okay here. Let's just check. I'll just remove the insert because it won't work anyway. So let's verify that one. So if I don't refresh, let's just go back, do it again. So we say Jerry, and let's just say there's some errors here. There you go. So on errors, I'm not getting the values back. You see the name disappeared. So there's a glitch there. Let's see why. V values list. I had bidder's name, and here I had V. Ah, there you go. It's not seller's name. It's bidder's name. Yep, I didn't update the field names here. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. Yes, I do. Nope. Still not right. I just lost the name. So bidder's name, V bidder's name. And then in here, I received bidder's name. And I never remove it. And then bidder's name is bidder's name, values list. Okay, now that should have worked. Oh yeah, right, wrong template. That's what it is, right? It's the place bid. Yep. Yeah, it's the place bid. Okay. That was the issue. Right, so let's do it again. Wrong template was being rendered. So let's do Jerry. Place my bid. There you go. See, Jerry stays. I see the errors. There is an issue here. Seller last bid price. You see, this is not showing. So I gotta fix that. Weird. So on submission, it doesn't show. Huh. It's probably I'm not fetching the data. Let's see. So here I was fetching the auction and I had, oh yeah, the A auction is missing. Yeah, that's where it is. Look, right? Because here on the first display, I did render the template with information about the auction, but here I missed that chunk. You see, I'm rendering error list. I'm rendering the values list, but I missed the information about the auction. So I need to add that. There we go. That should do it. Right? Yeah, that should be okay now. Okay, let's try this again. Yes, please. There we go. So now I got description, seller. That's where SamKitty222. That's what the name of the seller was, really. I gotta check that this is actually okay later. Last bid price. I think it was supposed to be Kitty owner. Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be. Then we have name stayed, right? So that's a good sign, right? So I got Jerry at jerry.com, right? Let's try this. Okay, so the value stays. Yep. Jerry, let's try that. Bid price. Yeah, okay. So now I'm gonna put a low bid. So I got 123 here. I'm gonna put 10 as my bid. Place your bid, and beautiful. The new bid must be higher than the last bid price. You see, I got it. Okay, now if I do 150, that won't work because I don't have the success template. Now I don't really necessarily, I mean, it's not wrong to have the success template. I mean, we could, just say template, your bid has been accepted and so on. Totally okay. We could do that. But because it's an ongoing thing, I'm just thinking, in an auction, if it's like a especially live auction, right? You want to place the bid, confirm it, right? Tell the user, yeah, your bid has been placed. And you could just redisplay the form for placing a new bid if they want to do so. Right? Well, I mean, why not? I mean, it's our system. So I want to show you something called the flash message. Flash message, let's actually explain the term first. Right, so let's do the flash message. So we're going to implement flash messages. All right, so what are they? Yeah, let's talk about it. So what are flash messages on the website, So when you do something, did you guys ever see a message that looks like this? Hang in there, right? That let's try and open. You see this one. So you try to do something and then it says your membership is set as undefined. Just confirms what you just did, right? Or you see kind of like a little pop-up there, show up for a few seconds. Or there you go, that's a good one, actually. Let's just see if we can get a few full version of it. Whatever. Right, so here is another, you see, this is a flash message. So you took an action, right? You said confirm, apply, whatever, but you're staying on the same page, on the same URL. Like you might reload it, maybe not. That depends how much Ajax you're using, but you're staying on the same page, really. And there's message just confirming the action that you just took, right? That you saved something, right, or updated something, or something like that. Right, let's see about this one. There you go, right? Well done, you successfully logged into the website. Yeah, maybe. Right, that's another flash message. So it's a message that shows up once, right? You're staying on the same page and it shows up once. So the easiest way to do that, there are actually even libraries that do that for us, which is completely, I think, a little crazy because it's such a simple thing to do. The way to do that, here are the snippets actually for the flash messages. We did that with one of the previous groups. We'll see if this actually works in the current PHP Slim. I think it should. I think it was the same version. So they say container view. Yeah, it looks like this is the right one. So what we'll do is so the idea is this. You guys remember session, right? Session belongs to the current browser session. So when we take action, what we're going to do, we're going to put a message, the confirmation message usually, into the session. So we'll say you've placed a new bid, you've registered, you've done something, right? And this is only something we use if we want to stay on the same page. If we want to go somewhere else, like to a success page, confirmation page, then we don't use that. This is kind of for the smaller things when we want to stay on the same page. So what we're going to do, we're going to put a message into the session, and then the next refresh of the page. So when the page gets reloaded, it will check, is there a message for me to show? If there is, it will show it and it will clear it. So it's take the message out of session and show it and clear it, which means that if you reload the page again, the message will no longer be there. It only shows once, right? That's why here we have, look, it's checking here. This code is checking. Do we have a flash message? If we do, fetch it and then remove it, right? So it's fetch and clear, get and clear, right? And then there is a method that says set flash message. Now this one says, hey, next time when we refresh any of my pages, go and this is the message to be shown, right? So by the way, the flash message needs to be shown in the master template usually, because, well, we want it to show whenever the next page is rendered. Right, so usually we want the flash message to be part of the master template, the display of it. Actually, that information is not in here, I think. Yeah. All right, let's see how that works out. So I'll borrow this code. Get a clear flash message. Yeah, let's do that. I have a vague feeling we should probably maybe do that here. We'll see. Yeah, let's just borrow this. We'll see if it causes us trouble. So flash message, yeah, flash messages handling. Let's put it here. So here we're, what are we doing here? This is something we haven't done yet. These are called Twig global values, or yeah, that's what they are. Now the word global is a little strong, right? But that's what they call them. So what does that mean? You see, so far, whenever you're rendering a template, you had to provide all the values yourself as the third parameter, like here, right? Or anywhere else. When I wanted to render a template and I wanted to give it some values, I needed to provide them right there when I was rendering them. But there is a way to give values to a template before it is rendered, essentially saying, listen, I don't care which template will be rendered. I want any template that will be rendered to have this variable of this value. So you're giving this value to whatever the template will be rendered. We don't know which one yet because we haven't actually, well, found which route we're on, right? So that's what they call the global variable for Twig. So what I'm going to do here, I will say add a global variable to Twig rendering called flash message, and the value of it will be one of the two. Either it will be an empty string, or it will be the message that I took out of session, right? And on the previous show, I will set the flash message using, well, this method, set flash message, which will save it into the session. Which brings me to the fact we haven't actually enabled sessions yet. So let's do that. So session start at the beginning right here. And that's the only thing I need to do to enable session mechanisms for the entire application. I just need to do it once at the beginning. Okay, so let's do that. Let's try and use it. And then we need to, right, so the master template needs to display it. Where would that be? Usually somewhere inside of the master template, somewhere on top is usually okay, right? So I might just do, let's just see, div, let's just do class flash message, right? And here I'll do, let's just do flash message, and I will only show it if there is a flash message indeed. So I'll say if flash message, and there you go. So this chunk, this div will only be generated if there actually is a flash message. Okay, and I should give it some nice background color or something in the CSS, but we'll get to that. That's why I added a class for it. Okay. Yeah, I should add that somewhere to the documentation. So in there we go. That should do it. Okay, so now let's use it. We'll try to. Let's see. So we said place bid, right? So if the bid was placed successfully, then I will say, what was it? Set flash message. Yeah, set flash message, and I will say bid placed successfully. Yeah, let's do that. And what? No, hold on a second, because I'm thinking, yeah, it is. Flash message is used when we redirect, actually. Yeah, I'm just thinking this may not be the most appropriate thing here.
I think you need to save.
Excuse me?
You need to save the file.
No, that's not the problem. I'm just thinking, because this flash message will be shown when I render the next page, not this one, when I render the one after. So what I'm thinking is I should actually redirect. Okay, let's try this. It's not the best user interface design, but we'll do it anyway. So the feature I'm looking at here is called name routes. So they actually give, so here's the index, right, page. they gave it a name, root, not Groot, that's different. We have it the name root, so we could do the same thing, I think. So we could do, yeah, give it a name. I'm gonna call it index. I'm gonna call this one index. And then I'll just yeah, redirect to it. So let's do that over here. So we'll say redirect to index. This, I hope. Or which PHP Slim is it? Slim 3. Yeah, that's a backup one. We'll see. We might do that one later. Just concerned with the version. Yeah, you see, this is, yeah, this is a good solution, except this is from version 2. Yeah. Yeah, we're not doing that. That's okay. So let's do version 3. Yeah, some things have changed a little bit. So we'll do just version 3 then, no problem. So we'll do, yeah, return response with status 304, 302. 302 should be temporary. HTTP. We have the code somewhere here. There we go. So 302 is found. 307 is temporary redirect. 302 found. So 307 should be okay as well. Well, we'll see. Let's try the 302 for now. So location is just slash, right? Just go to the index. Yeah, that should do it. Not the best way to do it from the user's perspective in terms of usability, but I just want to demonstrate the flash message. So let's do this. Let's do that one. So we'll do, and we'll still need to update the record. So we'll do Jerry again, Jerry on jerry.com, bid price 150, place my bid, and okay, so the redirection did work, right? I went to the index page, but for some reason my flash message didn't work. So I got set flash message, yeah, that worked, okay. Right, and then we did the redirection did work, but let's just check the master template. I did, oh yeah, I never saved the master template. I modified it, I never saved it. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, let's try this again. Jerry on jerry.com 150, let's do it again, and there we go, right here. You see, that's the flash message. Bid placed successfully. There we go. And we should give it some nicer CSS. Now, when I reload the page, look, if I reload the page, it goes away. It only shows up there for this one show of the page. Right. All right. And we should definitely give it some better CSS. Let's see. Message. Let's see. Background color. Let's give it some greenish thing. Font weight, bold. Yeah, that should do it. All right, let's try it one more time. I'm still not updating the record. That's the one thing I'm missing. So I'll say Jerry 150, place my bid. Okay, the CSS did not get reloaded. Web browser cached the old version. So let's try one more time. 50, place the bid. There we go, right? You see it there? Right, that's my flash message. And then if I go anywhere else or I refresh the page, it disappears. It only shows up once. Okay, that's the flash message. Okay, good. And again, as I said, from usability point of view, what I just did is a little questionable, I think, a little bit, but it gave me an excuse to show you flash messages, so that's nice. Okay, so let's finish this off. We're almost there. We need to do an update. So when we're placing a bid right here on success, right, we need to do an update. So we'll do db, right, update. Let's take a look at the documentation. So so microdb, or I had it open here somewhere. Apparently not. Oh, I do right here. Yeah. So MicroDB will have an update right here. There we go. Altering data. So I give it the first parameter will be the name of the table again. And the second one will be, well, the pairs of data that I want to put in, right? And then I also need a where clause. I think I had one person in one of the previous courses, I think that was the .NET course. I had somebody who wrote an update, and when I actually used it, what happened is that the values were updated in all the records. I remember there was like 10 records in the database with all kinds of different data. Once I did update, all of them changed to be the same exact information, right? So the problem was, of course, that where clause was missing, right? So this is the where clause, right? So it's going to say, well, yeah, in table, set the age to 25 and height to whatever, where name is this, right? So this is the pattern for the where clause, and this is any parameters that the where clause requires. Now, the where clause may require multiple parameters, right? In which case you're going to have more parameters after, but usually there's just one. Also, they show you an alternative. I'm not a big fan of this, but you could do that too. Yes, in MicroDB you could also execute something called query. Query means we're just running a query, and you get to write it on your own. Now you're still using the escaping. You see, you're still using the percentage I, D, S, whatever, right, to escape the values to make sure that there is no SQL injection possible, right? So that's nice, but you get to write your own query in SQL, which sometimes you may need to occasionally, right? If you're doing, I don't know, join over tables or something like that, then yeah, you do a query. Okay, so let's do the update. So in my case, the table is, of course, auctions, right? And the values, I only need to list the values I'm changing. So the values I'm changing will be fairly similar to this, almost the same, not quite, almost the same. I'm actually going to borrow this here. So bidder's name, yeah, I will have that, right? Because in my database table, I had, let's just look at the structure. So I did have, you see, this is, no, it's not quite. It's last bid price, last bid name, and last bid email, bidder email. You see that the names are different. So let's do that. So there you go. See, the last bid price will be the new bid price, right? The bidder email will be the last bidder email, and last bidder name is the bidder name, right? And then these will be the values I'll be updating with. And that's pretty much it, except I need the where clause. Where, right, where what? Where ID is, so actually I can do I, right? Where ID is, well, ID, which is what? Which is this, right? Which is my args of ID. There we go. And now I think it's going to be okay. Yeah, that should do it. Let's see about it again. All right, so I'm going to go to place the bid, and I'll do it one more time. So I'll do Jerry at jerry.com, 150, right? Place your bid, and says bid placed successfully. Look at this, right? It says last bid price is 150. So I actually did update. Okay, if I go up back here, I can place another bid. Okay, so that's that. Any questions on all the stuff we've done so far? I'll take them.
Yes, sorry. Can you just a little recap on the Flash? How I was kind of lost.
Yeah, this one is complicated. Yeah, this one's tricky. That's why I usually cover that a little bit later, like next week. So the way we do it is on the current page.
Just the logic part, like
Well, okay, so
yeah.
I'll explain. So on the current page, what we do, we will set the flash message in the session to be a piece of text. So we're saying here's a text bid placed successfully, right? And then we save that message in session over here, right? And then every time a new page is rendered, we actually check, do we have a flash message? You see over here, we actually always call get and clear flash message. And then if there is no message, then that's just an empty string. If there is a message, we retrieve it, look at this here, and then we clear it from the session, right? And then the flash message is given as parameter to a twig, to all the twig templates, which will then be rendered in the master template part right here, right? In other words, the flash message is always retrieved by the master for the master template and rendered if there is one. If there isn't, well, then it is not rendered. Okay, any other? All right, so using file uploads. Now, I know yesterday I put there in the note that you can still use the file. Well, I just, didn't want to throw too much at you, but really you shouldn't be using the file super global. You should be using this, right? Which essentially it's allows PHP Slim to give you a more object-oriented access to the same information. It's not really that different, right? It's just, for example, instead of checking the error, what was it? The error value in the files super global, they give you a method that will check it for you. And that's kind of how this goes. Okay, so I will want you to read up about it. Actually, let me ask you, let's see who did that. Guys, did you notice that if you push your code to Bitbucket, there's going to be those files added there too. There's this directory called cache. We didn't talk about it yet, right? There's this directory cache. Let's talk about it for a moment. So if I look inside, which I usually don't need to, there's going to be a lot of files there. And what's happening here is that each of those files is a translation of Twig into PHP. Okay, let's break it down a little. So Twig is a separate language. It is compiled by PHP from Twig into PHP. Translated, compiled means translate, right? So actually the Twig engine, the library that we downloaded, right, reads Twig, reads our templates, right? So here's, for example, I got new auction success. All right, let's look at this one. So I got my template new auction success. You see this one, right? It says extends, block, whatever, right? And this is the compiled version of it, meaning what? Translated from Twig to PHP. And I could say, hold on, this is kind of crazy. Why would we want to do that? Good question. The reason is that it has to happen anyway. See, Twig is a separate language. So you're using PHP to interpret Twig, right? PHP already is an interpreted language, which means usually it's not super fast, which is okay, not a problem. It's still fast enough. But if you use an interpreted language to interpret another language, the slowdown multiplies. So if we were, every time you access a page, if we're actually interpreting using PHP, a Twig page to render it, it would be extremely slow. Maybe not extreme, but it would be about 100 times slower than what we have so far. So what they do is whenever you access a template for the first time, you want to render a template for the first time, they translate this template into PHP code like this. Look at this. See, there is an echo auction created successfully. Well, in here, see, there is a paragraph auctions created successfully, right? Is right here, right? So I don't want to get through the whole thing. There's no point. But bottom line is they essentially generate PHP code. And then what they do is that next time when you want to render that template, they don't read the original template anymore, right? The engine checks, do I have a compiled version already? Yes, I do. And it just goes and executes this PHP code. It skips the whole interpretation of Twig, which makes it much, much faster. Okay. The kind of a downside is that, well, the cache has to exist, which means that this directory has to be writable by the web server, which is why on Unix systems, on Linux or on a Mac, you guys had to modify the permissions of cache, right, to allow read-write access for, well, for anybody, or at least for the web server. Okay, that's why. Once we upload that to hosting, that won't be an issue though, because it won't be. But that's what's happening now. Why is that? Why am I talking about it right now? Because, you know, this is generated code, and in Bitbucket, in Git, we generally do not want to track generated code. You guys noticed that, right? You guys remember when you were doing your project, we had this whole big Git ignore with lots of stuff in there. Don't ignore the bin, ignore the was it debug, obj, whatever. There's a long list of things to ignore. Why? Because if there is two of you working on a project, right, those things start to overlap, meaning you're going to end up having conflicts all the time, because you compile your project, somebody else compiles their project, right? Then you try to push it to Bitbucket. It turns out that your generated files are different. Well, they will always be different. And the same problem applies to Twig. So the solution is to not allow Bitbucket to, or Git to track the cache. We will actually tell it not to. Okay, we're going to tell it not to track cache. The problem is that we sometimes hit, if I tell Git not to track any directory of name cache, is actually going to be a problem, because in Twig there are actually files that have cache. You see, look at this here. We actually run into this problem. There is a directory called cache. So if I tell Git to ignore cache, then this directory will also be ignored, which may end up breaking Twig. We probably will. Okay, so we got to be a little bit more careful there. We have to make sure that we tell Git to only ignore this one directory. So the easiest way to do that is to name this directory cache something slightly different. So what we're going to do, we're going to, in this project, we're going to rename it, and we should probably do that. Well, for the other projects, we can keep it, but for this one and every next one, we're actually going to rename it. Let's call it something else. Let's call this, let's just rename this. So we'll do the name. What should we call it? TMPL cache. Yeah, I think that would be okay. TMPL cache. Yeah, that sounds good. That's pretty unique, right? We won't have a another directory under this name. Yeah, so let's rename it TMPL cache. Then we have to tell Twig that we did that. So in here, we have to change this. You see this? TMPL cache. We have to change that line as well. Okay, so please do that with me. So in here, in the project, we'll say new file, and we're going to say .git ignore, and we're going to say what? TMPL cache / right, which will tell it. Unfortunately, in Git ignore, all the values are treated recursively, meaning that they don't just apply to the top directory where the Git ignore is, but they also apply to all subdirectories. So this is going to work fine under the assumption that no other directory is called TMPL cache, which I'm quite confident there isn't. Okay, so save this. You should be okay now. And if I go to my source tree now and I refresh, you see no longer it should be, yeah, it should not be trying to add any cache. You see no cache directory here. Oh, hold on, there is well, there is cache, but there is cache related to Twig. Oh, hold on, there is that's bizarre. Why is it still? For Slim cache.
That was the
Oh,
first.
That's the previous project. Yeah, so I could, yeah, so as I said, for the previous, we probably don't care. But when you're doing your project starting Friday, tomorrow, when you're going to start working on your teams, right, on the project, we want to make sure that you have the Git ignore set up correctly. Okay, because otherwise you end up having conflicts for no reason. Yeah, this one I'll just let it slide. Now, on the other hand, for vendor, guys, as I said, in a long project, we would not put the vendor into the repository, but for us, because we're just going to work on it for a week or two, we'll let it slide. We will add vendor to the main repository. That doesn't hurt us in any way, or we shouldn't. Just thinking. Hold on. Nobody had any issues recreating the vendor. You know what? How about this? We will ignore vendor as well. Yeah, let's just do that the right way. So we'll do vendor. Yeah, let's do that. Vendor / as well. Yeah, why not? Yeah. So when I do that, press F5 here. Okay, that's better. Right. So you see my slim auctions is only now what I created: git ignore, htaccess, composer, index, styles, and the templates. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so .git ignore, tmpl cache, and vendor, and you save this. Right, then you go to source tree, press F5, that will make it refresh, and now we can stage it and commit. It's gonna take a while, yeah. It's because of the slim first, right? I mean, I suppose I could do the same thing with slim first if I wanted to. Do I want to? I guess maybe.
Did you create a new git ignore inside the?
I did. Yeah, I did.
You can't just add the lines to the git ignore that's already there in the
In
parent,
the root, yeah, you could do that too. Yeah, you could do that as well.
and that will take care of all the projects,
Well, right, but but
all of them in that folder.
yes, but I was just concerned that when you start creating your projects tomorrow, you'll forget that you need to do that for the new repository you'll be sharing with your colleague. That's why. But you're right. Yes, I could put it in the higher level. Technically, it would work just as well. TMPL cache. I'm just gonna, yeah, I'll modify the other one as well. And then I added, I'm just gonna borrow the git ignore. First, yeah, let's just do that. I'll stage it. Yeah, let's just undo it. F5. There we go. So you see, if I ignore vendor and cache, in both projects, I only have what, 20, 30 files to commit. And yes, you're right. We could just put the same information. We could put that into the, do I even have that? Oh, we do have a git ignore here. Okay, let's see that.
Do we need composer lock?
The composer lock can stay. It doesn't hurt us. Yeah, this one is, it's kind of like a generic ignore, but none of these really apply to us. Okay, DS store, yes, because if you're on the Mac, Times on Windows, yes, maybe. But the rest, log files, actually, yeah, that's true. That might apply to us, but the rest doesn't actually apply to us. Yeah, so they actually say these are some examples. Yep, totally. So we could do the same thing, and we could say cache, no, TMPL cache, and vendor should be ignored. Yeah, we could do that too. This is the git ignore in the higher level directory in IPD23. All right, so for the query, now you could do it one of two ways. You could do it this way, or you could kind of do it the old-fashioned way. You could still do ID equals some value, right? Ampersand ubid equals something like this, right? You could do that. You're gonna have to look it up. How do you retrieve that information from the URL? I can tell you, these will not come as args. This information, the ID and ubid, if you write it this way, they will not come as, they will not show up in here. They will not be in here. You're gonna have to fetch them as parameters. There is another way. We didn't do this one yet, right? You're gonna have to fetch them as parameters. Personally, my preferred way of doing that would be this one. Just put them in the URL separated with slashes. That seems like a reasonable idea, right? Okay, anything else? Any other questions?